So Mitt Romney had something known as a teletown hall in Wisconsin with Wisconsin voters, and he did so on Wednesday afternoon. And he wanted to connect with the voters, you know, maybe give them like a funny story that they would get some amusement out of.
He's a funny guy.
He's totally a funny guy. Every time I think of comedy, I think Mitt Romney. But, you know, during this little telephone town hall thing that he did, he made the mistake of telling a story that really struck a nerve with some of the voters. So let me give you an example of what he said. He said, quote, "You may remember my father, George Romney, was president of an automobile company called American Motors, and they made Ramblers and Jeeps, and they had a factory in Michigan, and they had a factory in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and another one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin." He continues to say, "And as the president of the company, he decided to close the factory in Michigan and move all the production to Wisconsin. Now later, he decided to run for governor of Michigan. And so you can imagine that having closed the factory and moved all the production to Wisconsin was a very sensitive issue to him for his campaign."
Oh, God, that's a funny story.
As he's telling this story, he's chuckling. Like chuckling as if he's like in the midst of telling this great joke. But that's not funny. You're talking about shutting down car companies and people losing their jobs. And that's not something to joke about when you have a high unemployment rate in this country and people are getting laid off.
He decided his other house in Wisconsin was, he wanted to spend some more time there, so he moved to the factory over there and said, forget these people in Michigan.
But what are you doing? But what are you doing? You're running for president. You are a moron.
Well, look, he looks very presidential. He's tall, good-looking guy. He should have a new strategy going forward between now and the election day. Just don't say anything. Just walk around. Because as soon as he opens his mouth, he sounds like a complete idiot.
Let me just
say, a complete idiot.
Absolutely. We were talking about Marco Rubio and how he could possibly be Mitt Romney's VP pick, right? Marco Rubio has just endorsed Mitt Romney. Rubio sounds like a very intelligent guy. He sounds way more intelligent than Mitt Romney. Don't get me wrong, I don't like Marco Rubio. I despise the guy just as any other Tea Party candidate. But at the same time, when you listen to him speak versus Mitt Romney speaking, you're like, definitely, at least he has someone who seems coherent.
No, they need Romney to just move his mouth and have Rubio speak for him.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I'm serious.
Okay, look, but Mitt Romney continues. That wasn't enough. Let's see if he can get a little funnier, right? He says, "And I recall at one parade where he, talking about his father, was going down the street. He was led by a band, and they had a high school band that was leading each of the candidates, and his band did not know how to play the Michigan fight song." Now, keep in mind, his father is running for governor of Michigan, right? It only knew how to play the Wisconsin fight song. And he's laughing while he's saying that. So every time they would start playing on Wisconsin, my dad's political people would jump up and down and try to get them to stop because they didn't want people in Michigan to be reminded that my dad had moved production to Wisconsin.
So
you know what? That is actually pretty funny.
No, it's not. But that's not funny.
Right, it is.
No. What the funny part is that he thinks it's funny.
He thinks that the people of Wisconsin are gonna love it.
Right.
They're like, "You Wisconsin voters, wasn't it awesome? My father fucked the people in Michigan and opened up factories here."
No, but then when he tried to be a traitor and go back to Michigan and run for governor, he was like, "I had to hide how I
Someone has
screwed you
to tell
over."
Mitt Romney that we have this thing called the internet, so that people in Michigan can see this about what he said, because he's saying this to pander to the people in Wisconsin, obviously, right? He's saying, "Look, Wisconsin, I love you guys. I love
your trees."
The trees are the right height. Yeah. I love Wisconsin.
What he's saying is, for generations, the Romney family has been pandering to Wisconsin. At the same time, he tried to go back to Michigan. So all this illustrates is how he's just running that same cycle of being clueless and just pandering to whatever he can. The flip-flopping is in his blood.